You mentioned that, artists who go on to an NFT marketplace and they're trying to mint their artwork, they don't need to know how to code. But in order to create a licensing agreement, are they responsible for creating that licensing agreement? And if they are, what should effectively be included?
Usually not. Like, again, it comes down to each individual NFT platforms, and your starting point is really looking at their terms of service. So the terms of service, I should say, are effectively a contract between the platform and the user. The way that NFT platforms have approached the licensing aspect. So by licensing, I think we're referring to the permission for a purchaser to use that NFT in certain ways that would involve using the copyright owner's exclusive copyright. So like reproducing the work, or what we call here in Australia, communicating to the public, which is essentially transferring something electronically or uploading something to a website, or maybe sharing an image of it online. Different NFT platforms spell out the licensing arrangements differently and in different ways and in different places. So the standards when it comes to license arrangements are still not quite there yet. I do think we're going to see those, really come together in the next year or so, where there will be more uniformity between the platforms in terms of like what the scope of these licensing arrangements are. But they're just not quite there. Then you also have to think about, well, how is this license arrangement between not necessarily the NFT platform and the user, but the purchaser or the seller and the purchaser work? Because that's like a separate contractual arrangement, your transaction between the seller and the purchaser. At what point does the buyer, when they're looking through the NFTs to buy on this platform, do they sort of come to understand certain rights or restrictions that come with buying the NFT? So look, all platforms have different ways of kind of notifying users of that. Some do it better than others. And so a lot of my work with NFT platforms in the last few months has really been about thinking about, well, what's the best practice approach here? So how can we make the rights of using an NFT clear and transparent, both the seller, whether it be the artist or a secondary seller, and the purchaser as well. Interestingly, there are some platforms out there, Feral File, for example, users, they also actually upload this kind of like template agreement that they expect the sellers and the purchasers to enter into when they're transacting via the platform. I think there's some really interesting legal issues that come around with that, because this kind of question of, can you expect other people to enter into a contract that you're not privy to? So it's kind of whole area of local privity of contract.